It's the first weekend without football. It's so
All right, what's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Chuck and Jayhawk here. We got a nice, tight little 5-gamer. Starts a half hour later than usual, so keep that in mind. We have another half hour to build our lineups. I will be in the Discord half hour before lock, so a half hour after the show ends. So we have a little bit of extra time today. I don't know. I think it's a pretty decent slate. What do you think, Jayhawk?
yeah, I really like this slate, man. Sorry about my voice. I'm kind of getting over just not feeling the best with my voice, but I'll do my best. But yeah, really fun slate here. Excited to break it down tonight.
Yeah, and so in terms of injuries, we don't have that much stuff going on. The Nets aren't on the main slate, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think so.
it's really annoying how Underdog gives so much injury news for tomorrow before today's lock. Like, I really don't care about tomorrow yet. We're not even thinking about it. But Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively are probably not going to play today. First question in the chat, Jose Morales. Is Grant Williams playing 30 minutes? Pulled it up on the screen here. We haven't projected for 25, so I mean, it's possible. If he's playing really well, then he could. But this guy is so off and on. I don't know. He's going to be a pretty decent play. He hasn't really broken the 30-minute mark too many times this season, so it's a little tough. But 25 minutes at his 4,200 price, if he's not shooting 1 for 7 or 1 for 2 even, then he's going to be all right.
Yeah, not typically a huge like upside player. He did have that one really big game. I know you were heavy on him that slate, but typically not a guy running to target. So I agree.
And some other questionables. AD and LeBron are questionable. I kind of expect LeBron to play with AD. It's up in the air. He tweaked his groin or something a few games ago. Tried to play through it. Played awful. Did sit out the previous game. That's when we got all that Lakers chalk. So we'll see what happens there. DeJounte's questionable. Jared Allen's questionable. Tobias Harris is questionable. Kobe White. OG Anunoby, if he ends up being out, then I imagine we're going to still want to be interested in Dante DiVincenzo. And then DeAndre Hunter is questionable, and he's going to affect probably Jalen Johnson the most a little bit, but we'll see if DeJounte's out too. Is there anything else I missed?
I think you covered most of it. Trying to see if there's the rest of this is just the early news. So I think we covered it.
Nice. And then while we're on Dallas, we have another question about Rashawn Holmes. So last time Rashawn Holmes was named a late starter, and he was min-price on DraftKings. I wasn't too interested, but of course, he ended up being in the winning lineup on both sites over on FanDuel too. He had a really good game. We haven't projected for 22 minutes. Looks like he's going to be pretty chalky, 35, 38%. His price did come up a little bit. Are you looking at Rashawn Holmes tonight?
Yeah, man. It was a tough matchup last game too against Minnesota, but 3K flat. Holmes actually a pretty good fantasy producer when he does get minutes. So yeah, I'm going right back to Holmes once again tonight.
Yeah, same. It looks like I'm going to get a pretty decent amount of Holmes. I mean, 30 minutes at 3,800. If he plays 30 minutes, I don't really care if he has a good or bad game. He's going to be a good play regardless. Only took 6 shots, 11-10, nice little double-double, 2 blocks. He had a pretty good game. And so we don't really need the 33.5 points for him to be a great play tonight. And so just hope that he does something. You know, the model does think that he's one of the better values, particularly on Dallas. Josh Green, only player above him. And Josh Green, projected for 31.5 minutes at modest ownership, 4,500 on DraftKings. It sounds pretty good to me, too.
Yeah, right there with you. Rashawn Holmes. We'll get to Luka. I mean, he just looks incredible. I mean, when are we not saying Luka looks good without Kyrie? So agreed.
Yeah, Luka, like his industry-wide projection today is insane. It's like 73 points or something like that, and it's insane to just project a player for that. Like that's his median projection, right? He could miss it by a lot, but he could also go over. And just looking at the OF index, I mean, it's of course Luka and Giannis alone at the top. Luka, 47% projected ownership on DraftKings, 26 on FanDuel. It's insane, dude. The most expensive player in NBA DFS being 50% owned on a 5-gamer. And then Giannis, sub 10% at a pretty similar price point. And the model does have Luka with a slight edge, but maybe not quite enough edge for this kind of ownership disparity. We'll take a look at the value and see what the positions are, but maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, man. Just Luka's been so good. Even like we saw in the Orlando matchup, like I was a little bit under on him, and he put up like 80 DraftKings points, which his ceiling is just incredible, man.
Yeah, it kind of feels like how Jokic did last year, where he was just underpriced the entire season. And like Luka, I said, he's the most expensive player in fantasy right now, and he's probably just going to stay underpriced for the potential to give us. I think most slates, it just depends on what kind of value we have, what kind of lower mid range plays that we have. But in my dummy build, I got Luka in pretty comfortably with, I believe, Trae Young, and I was still able to fit in Kaminga and then not go too deep on the rest of the plays. But let's just go ahead and dive into the guard position. Let's take a look at the ownerships first. We got Luka at the top, Dante DiVincenzo. I'm sure that, let me see if, actually, let me check if OG Anunoby's out. But are you going to go right back to Dante DiVincenzo today?
Yeah, man. Kind of mentioned this on the discords in the past. Just like when all these guys are out, I know Nobi's questionable, but Quinn Grimes is out. He pretty much barely ever comes off the court. Plays around 40 minutes the past few, or has played 40 minutes the past few games. I love him here once again.
Yeah, I mean, he had kind of a bad game, but he only missed by a little bit. But the thing that I don't mind going right back to him, this dude's usage rate right now is insane. He took like
Yeah.
16 threes, 3 games in a row, 15, 15, and 16. Like, yeah, I mean, the 9 for 15 was awesome. 5 for 15 is fine. 4 for 16, not so much. But just the fact that he's getting up, he's chucking right now, playing 40 minutes a game. I mean, we just have to be interested in the upside. And if OG, so the model has OG in right now, and it's not grading out Dante DiVincenzo as a particularly great value, but where is Dante DiVincenzo? Yeah, so he's down here, assuming OG is in. But if OG ends up being out, I imagine he's going to be at the top of value again. And so it's just something to watch out for. And remember, OG, yeah, he's going to take up some minutes, but his usage rate is still so low, even with Julius Randle off the court, that I'm not too worried about it with Dante DiVincenzo. Like the model is saying he's probably a little bit overowned for his price and uh, just with the ownership he's coming in at, I guess. But I'm still going to have some interest there, and I think that's going to be a pretty huge part of the slate. I mean, how many lineups are going to start with Luka and Dante, and it's basically just a 7v7 or 6v6, whatever, on DraftKings for the rest of the spots, right?
Yeah, pretty much those two are just they're such good plays, especially like I mean they're just both great plays. I can't really overstate that.
Yeah, and then guy that we talked about last time, Io DeSunmu, coming in as mega chalk again, 38% at 5,200 on DraftKings. I'm going right back to him. Are you?
Yeah, I mean he did get a slight price bump, but Kobe White's also questionable, I believe, for tonight. And then yeah, Patrick Williams remains out, so yeah, I really like him here once again. I know I'm kind of stating the chalk, but these guys are all underpriced for their current roles. So
Yeah, and we'll find some lower owned guys later to mix in with these guys. But Kevin Werder, I think he's fine chalk. Klay Thompson, talked about this last time. Like I thought that he's basically a GPP play on every slate. This year he hasn't been as much, and so I'm not trying to get away from Klay. The model does like him as value, so his ownership is probably appropriate over on DraftKings anyway, 23%. Some other value guys, Malik Beasley. This guy always seems to be near the top of value, just like Brooke Lopez, but he's so streaky, so on and off. But 7% ownership, I mean, 4,200 on a 5-gamer. I don't mind taking some shots. Chris Middleton, been my favorite GPP player recently. It's like went from Max Strus to Jalen Johnson to Chris Middleton is in this like mid-range around 6K guys. And coming in at 13 and 14% ownership, I'm just going to keep hammering Chris Middleton in my exposures.
yeah, he still seems too cheap at 6,700 or yeah 6,700. Is he 67? Make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
67 on DraftKings, 72 on FanDuel.
yeah, just seems too cheap. Love when the model is in line with both of us as well. So probably my favorite low end guard here. I'm right there with you.
And just some other guys pulling ownership. I'm a little surprised Jalen Brunson isn't higher on this list playing against the Lakers. His price is definitely up. He's 9,600 on DraftKings, 98 on FanDuel, but only coming in at 12 and 16%. I don't mind getting a bit over the field on Jalen Brunson. In fact, let's just take a look at New York since it seems like it's going to be a pretty big part of the slate. And Miles McBride, too, coming in at 13% at 3,400. I get it. We don't have much in terms of super cheap value today, so it seems fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love Brunson here at low ownership. It's just like they're when Brunson's so closely priced to Luka, it's really tough to get to Brunson over Luka. But I mean, Brunson has a huge upside here with half the team out. So yeah, I like that call a lot.
Yeah, it's only a $2,000 difference today, which is much less than it
Yeah.
is usually, but we can do something with that 2K. I mean, if it lets us upgrade even like two other positions, and that sounds pretty good. Josh Hart, he was kind of terrible last game. Did like nothing the entire game, and then he kind of tried to salvage towards the end.
Yeah.
Finished with 5 real points, 12 rebounds. Shot 0 for 6. It's awesome. We're not really ever expecting him to take a ton of shots, but uh, it's just his rebounding creates this floor where he can't kill you too bad. Like 25 and a half fantasy points at he was 6,300. We're probably not taking down a GPP, but it's also not enough to prevent us from cashing either. So don't mind taking shots on Josh Hart at, I mean, 15, 21% ownership, it's the lowest ownership we've gotten him at. I imagine it's going to go up if OG Anunoby ends up getting ruled out, but we'll see about that. And then, I mean, we'll touch on these guys when we get to the big men too, but Hartenstein and Precious Achiuwa were both in the optimal lineup the last time they played. They started together. They shared the court for a ton of minutes, and so they're both going to look pretty good tonight. Isaiah Hartenstein in particular, 6,300 at 16% on DraftKings. Precious, the 5,800. Price seems a little bit high to me, but at 1%, I mean, 5-gamer, I don't mind taking a couple shots there.
Yeah, man, you mentioned Hardenstein. Like when he's playing close to 40 minutes, fully healthy, and Dave's is playing him normal minutes, he's a really good fantasy reducer. So, especially let's monitor AD's news. If AD's out, I think Hardenstein would be a very, very good play here. I kind of want to monitor that news as well.
Yeah, the big thing is the minutes. He came back from the injury and he played 16, 16, jumped up to 29. Now he's at 36. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that we're not going to see any kind of minutes limit. Like if he plays 36 minutes, we're going to be thrilled to get him at 6,300 at modest-ish ownership, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And then Jose Morales, Jalen Johnson or Middleton. We'll dive a little deeper into these guys when we get to forwards, but my answer today is definitely Chris Middleton. I mean, just sorting by DK value. Well, Josh Hart is the number one forward. Followed by Chris Middleton, and then Jalen Johnson. Oh no, where's our boy Jalen? Okay, he's 5th. I was worried that he fell off the first page of value, but I mean, Jalen Johnson looks great too. And the thing is, if Chris Middleton was chalk, I'd say, yeah, Jalen Johnson's a pretty good pivot, but Chris Middleton is not chalk. So I'm just going to get way over the field on Middleton. I'm probably going to end up over the field on Jalen Johnson as well. Seemingly good matchup, assuming DeAndre Hunter's out. But even if DeAndre Hunter's in, maybe his ownership goes down a little bit, and we get a nice little ownership discount. Do you have a strong preference? Is it Chris Middleton?
Yeah, I think number one for me, Middleton. You mentioned Josh Hart. I think Josh is fine. I liked him better when he was around 5.5, 5.6K. But at 6.3, I think it's a fine price tag. Pretty good matchup. You mentioned Jalen Johnson. Great like game environment for him here. So I think he's firmly in playing tournaments. And then guys like Kuminga, Klay Thompson, particularly Kuminga here. I really do like Kuminga once again in this mid tier. So he's probably my priority in the forwards after Middleton. Yeah, it's probably where I'm looking.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping around a bit today, guys, but keep your questions coming in. Hayes tonight. So this dude, Jackson Hayes, man, had the best game of his entire life the previous time so it was kind of odd that Christian Wood was super chalk coming off the bench and Jackson Hayes was not chalk starting, but I think that the industry kind of assumed it was going to be maybe a 2024 split, 24-24 split, or maybe even just they run some lineups without having either of them in. But Jackson Hayes, I mean, he came out playing awesome. He played 34 minutes. Like, it makes sense that Ham kept him on the court, one of the few correct decisions he's made this season. But, I mean, 39 fantasy points, 16 and 10, 3 steals. Like, this is literally the best game Jackson Hayes has ever had in the NBA. Yeah. And so, are we going back to him? Let's take a look at what the model says. What do you think, K-Hawk?
I think if 80's out, Christian Wood, did he not play the second half? Because like his fantasy score did not go up at all since like after the first half. So I think for me, if Hayes starts and 80's out, I think Hayes is probably safer in terms of minutes. But I think Christian Wood would be kind of viable as well in tournaments. But I would prefer Hayes.
Yeah, I'd have to see. So it's weird because the games are so tight today with the starting times. But if AD is out, so if AD is in, I'm not going to really have that much interest in Hayes, maybe as like a deep GPP play. But if AD is out, so Christian Wood played like 7 minutes in the first half last game. It's a short rotation for him, but he actually played 6 plus 5. He played 11 minutes in the second half, and he just didn't really do anything with it. Played 19 for the game versus Hayes 34. So they did share the court for a few minutes. And this is really only relevant if AD is out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd have to see what the ownerships look like, because if Christian Wood is going to come in not chalk today, I mean, he's at 0% right now. Jackson Hayes is at 0%, but this is with AD in. And so if Christian Wood comes in with very low ownership and Jackson Hayes ends up the chalk, I'm going to have interest in playing both. I don't think I'm going to fade Hayes completely again. It's just he is a starter. He has the potential to play well, play himself into a few more minutes. But with their prices coming up, Hayes had an extreme outlier game. And Wood, he hasn't shown a ceiling recently. He hasn't shown any confidence from the coaching staff. And so it's going to be tough for me to want to roll him out again. Like, I was slightly below the field on Wood, but I wasn't good enough to bump up Hayes enough to where, I took advantage of that leverage. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe we get the AD news, but I don't know. I kind of expect him to sit. If Hayes starts, he's fine. If Wood... Well, Hayes would be the starter, but either way, I think they're both going to be okay GPP plays.
I agree, especially since Vanderbilt's out for LA as well. I know that primarily bumps guys like Torian Prince, Hachimura, but one of those guys between Wood and Hayes should benefit slightly.
And so let's finish up some guards. Were there any other guys at the top end you were looking at? Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Dame, Steph Curry, Fox. Like, we have a ton of elite guards on the slate today.
Yeah, you mentioned Trae Young. I'm glad you mentioned him because, against Golden State here, coming off that huge game last night, I believe. I think he's an elite tournament play here. 9,500 just seems too cheap for Trae Young here. So, yeah, I do like him a lot up top. And then Damian Lillard, I'll note him, 8,900. Pretty good matchup against a depleted Dallas team, no Kyrie Irving. So I don't hate Dame as a low and spend up. And then I'll mention Steph Curry too, 7% owned. I mentioned I love this game. I think he's in play at 9,100 as a low and play as well.
Yeah, it's like these guys are all just GPP plays, right? Like, can two of them go off and push Luka out of the winning lineup? I don't know. But like I said earlier, it wasn't too hard for me to fit in two of these guys with Jonathan Kuminga as well. You can sub Kuminga for Middleton either way. Those two guys are probably going to be my highest exposed players tonight, and I just want to mix up these guards around them. Yeah. What about like D'Angelo and Austin Reeves? And it's tough because I don't want to try to create too many if-then scenarios, but let's assume LeBron is in and AD is out. What are we doing with these guys?
So I dug down. I mentioned this in Discord as well. I think Reeves actually does play better with LeBron in, AD out. I think LeBron and Reeves do correlate a little bit better. So I think if that's a scenario, I probably would prefer Reeves. Nothing wrong with Russell, but I think I'd slightly prefer Reeves. How about you?
I don't know. I'm having a tough time with Reeves this season, man. He's off and on a bit, and D'Angelo is just he is a better player than he's shown for the first half of the season anyway. What he's been doing more recently is it's a little bit more than what I expect from him, I guess, but I think I like D'Angelo a little bit more. It's just tough because their prices are both up 7,500 and 6,900 on DraftKings, and then like almost 8K for D'Angelo on FanDuel, 73 for Austin Reeves. Those are going to be tough for me to get to, but I still do think D'Angelo has a higher ceiling. He's going to reach that ceiling a little bit more than Austin Reeves. It's just super annoying when Austin Reeves does it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would like to play Russell over Reeves. I just they're so tough to break down. I agree. Like, they've kind of been like, whenever the Lakers on the slate, it's like, dang, like, which one do I want to play? Because I know the other one's going to go off.
Yeah, so I guess in a vacuum, I do like these guys, but on this slate specifically, it's just so tough to want to get to D'Angelo over, basically all of these guys. Because if we're playing Luka and we try to fit in D'Angelo, yeah, we can still fit in Middleton. Maybe we can fit in Middleton and Kuminga, but then we're going to go kind of deep with the rest of our lineup. So we'll see what we can do when we build a dummy lineup at the end. And then I know you mentioned Kobe White earlier. He is questionable, but 7,800. His price tag's up. They're playing Sacramento. It's an awesome matchup for Chicago, so I'm going to have some interest, but there's just so many guards today that it's tough to really want to prioritize anyone after Luka. Let's take a look at value and see what kind of mid-range we're looking at. I mean, Middleton, DeSumo, and Werder, I do think that these are probably three of the better guard plays in Luka. Like, the top of value, like, the model's telling us that our favorite plays are the best plays. So I'm going to go ahead and listen and just load up on these four guys. I mentioned Malik Beasley. I might mix him in a little bit. Pretty interested in Trey Jones at 5,500. It's a tough matchup against Cleveland, but when Wembanyama's in, it's really good for Trey Jones. We have projected for 31 minutes. It's only a 9.5 point spread. But at Trey Jones' price, I really like taking some shots as kind of like a not quite value, but almost value.
Yeah, agreed. And I just want to shout out Nick Morrow. He's been on the Trey Jones train. So yeah, I agree with him, and I agree with you. 5,500 seems just probably too cheap here for Trey Jones. And ever since he's taken over the point guard role, he's been very, very solid in terms of fantasy scoring. So yeah, not a great matchup, but I think his price is too cheap here. So I agreed with you.
Caruso at 5,600. He's kind of a pivot off Dosunmu, but Dosunmu's cheaper, even though he's coming in with twice the ownership. The model is telling us that he's a better value than Caruso. So, but keep Caruso in mind as kind of a mix-in. I guess I'll have a bit of both of them. And then a guy who I was interested in, I'm a little surprised his ownership's as high as is. I get it, though, because we don't really have the value. Julian Champagnie at 3,200 on DraftKings, 14%. His minutes are up and down, and Wembanyama is expected to play today. But were you looking at this guy at all?
I'm never huge on Champagnie. I think he's fine. Would have preferred him if Keldon was out. I think his minutes would have been a little bit more secure there. So probably not for me tonight. How about you?
I think that's a good call. Yeah, I'm still going to mix him in a little bit, but he's probably not quite the value play I was hoping he was going to be when I was making my dummy lineup earlier today. Is there anyone else from the guards that you think that we should mention?
I do kind of want to mention, because for Atlanta, I think Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter are both out. So Bogdan Bogdanovic as a guard, I know he's technically a forward, but I think he would make sense as a lone flyer here.
Yeah, I don't mind that call. 5,900, 8% on DraftKings, 10% on FanDuel. Seems like a good GPP play. And then the last guy I do want to mention, Malik Monk. So I talked about him yesterday, that he was like the perfect GPP play because Kevin Huerter was mega chalk. He was cheaper than Kevin Huerter, and he's kind of direct leverage. They both ended up closing last night, and Kevin Huerter had a fine game, but Malik Monk put up a pretty good score. He finally got those minutes back. And I mentioned this, if he puts up a good score yesterday, then he's going to come in chalk the next slate. He's only 13% owned, 16% on FanDuel, but like if he didn't have a good game yesterday, I have to believe he'd still be 1 or 2% owned. Maybe a little more because it's a 5-gamer, but Malik Monk's he's going to look pretty good to me tonight. I don't mind taking shots on him again. I'll be mixing up him and Huerter.
I like it.
What do we think about fading Luka and going all mid-tier? I don't hate it. So Luka's predicted for 47% on DraftKings, and in my initial runs right now, I'm at 40% Luka. So I'm kind of fading him if I'm below the field, right? And just scrolling through my lineups that don't have Luka, there's a lot of mid-range guys that could go off. And if you can fit, like I talk about, I can fit Luka and maybe like a Trae Young or whatever in my lineup easily. But maybe if you fade Luka, you can fit 3 of these kind of pay up guards or pay up whatever in your lineup, and they all go off. It's enough to overcome Luka, or maybe Luka just has a bad game. So I don't hate it. Are you going 100% Luka tonight?
I don't. Yeah, I might. I don't know if I'll walk him, but I definitely will be over the field, I think. But I think it's a good point, right? Like guys like Trae Young, Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, even they're all in good spots here. So I mean, if Luka has a floor game or an average game, I mean, those guys could beat him in like an optimal lineup setting. So I don't mind that call at all.
Yeah, and they're all these are all good plays. Model's telling us they're all good plays. I will point out Luka's DK value is still higher, meaning he's a better spend with our salary. So just something to keep in mind. And then what do we make of Leicester? What do we make of Leicester getting first half minutes last night? It was so weird. Didn't Gui Santos check in the first quarter too?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
I was watching the Warriors game last week, and my buddy's like, "Why is Puka Nacua on the Warriors bench?" It was Gui Santos. They actually do look kind of alike. But let me pull up this rotation for Golden State yesterday. So Leicester and Gui Santos both got first quarter run yesterday. So Dario Saric was out. Is Dario Saric in today? Didn't even check that.
I think he's out once again. Saric.
I'd expect him to be out. Yeah, I don't have Saric in my stuff. So assuming Saric is out, it's weird that they both got minutes. And so Pajemski, Gui Santos checked in for Klay Thompson and Jonathan Kuminga early. And then a couple minutes later, Kevon Looney and Lester Quinoa Keenan. I don't know. Lester came in for Steph and Wiggins. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, neither of them are really fantasy relevant. What we care about is, are they going to take minutes away from guys like Wiggins, Draymond, I guess. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga can really lose minutes right now. He's been like the hottest player in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wouldn't really play either of these guys. It's just, even if we get that 19 minutes from Lester, what are we expecting to happen, right?
Nah, like, I mean, maybe he can get up to 10 fantasy points, 15. What did he put up last game? Like
He put up 19.
19? Wow, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, 10.6 rebounds in 19 minutes. It's like he did get, he didn't even get, like he only got a minute and 46 of blowout run. The rest of his production came, during the game. And so I don't know. It's kind of a super deep GPP play. He is min priced. We don't need him to go off for him to help our lineup, but I don't know. It's not someone I'm going to play today, but if you need that 3K guy to make your lineup work, then we've had worse options, right?
Yeah, I think he's fine as like a last piece in. Like if you have to play a 3K guy, I think it's fine.
Catch and shoot players against the Bulls, Keegan and Monk for Sac. Yeah, Keegan Murray, it's a good transition into forwards, but we mentioned we do like Malik Monk already. Let's take a look at Keegan Murray. So Keegan, this guy's off and on. Like I thought that he was one of the guys whose minutes were very secure. He was going to play high 30s minutes every game, but he hasn't. 28, 38, 25, 40, 38, 32, 38. So I'm pretty sure the Kings' game plan is they want to play him those high 30 minutes. I'm wondering if some of this is because Harrison Barnes has kind of emerged recently, finally showing up. Kevin Werder's been getting heavy minutes, taking a lot of shots, and so it's taking away usage from Keegan Murray. But this 12 for 18 game he had a couple games ago, when he gets hot, the Kings feed him. They let him go off. So I would say he's a GPP play in that his ceiling outcome is tournament winning, but his median outcome is just not. But at 5% and 2% seems fine to me.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I do prefer guys like Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, I think, to him. And then obviously Harrison Barnes has been just incredible, came out of nowhere. So I think he's fine as like a lone dart throw with Murray there.
Yeah, and it's like he is kind of leverage off those other guys because almost every other player on the Kings tonight is more popular than Keegan Murray. And so you don't have to fade the rest of the Kings to play Keegan Murray. Just, instead of playing maybe Werder and Barnes together, play Werder and Murray or Monk and Murray or just some combination. Just, you can still play another King beside him is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking at the top of OF Index for forwards, it's just Giannis. Like Luka, there are some guys kind of there, I guess, but Giannis 16.9, next highest are AD and LeBron at 13.6, LeBron 12.3. None of these guys are pulling ownership. Wemby at sub 10%. He's finally broken that 9K barrier over on DraftKings. And so I know that we're going to be very interested in Luka, but how hard are you looking at these guys? And I don't know. I guess we have to assume AD is in for now since we have him in the model.
Yeah, so you just mean like forwards in general? Up top, I would probably say Giannis, fine with him. Not a priority with Luka on the slate. AD LeBron, assuming AD sits, I think LeBron, or if AD sat, I think LeBron would be a great play here. Wemby, don't love the matchup here against Cleveland, but he's Wemby. He has a huge ceiling, so I think he's always in play. And then, yeah, after those guys, none of them are priorities, but I think they're all fine in tournaments.
Yeah, it just for my forward exposure, it looks like the two guys I'm getting to the most, like we keep talking about them, Chris Middleton and Jonathan Kuminga. Just Kuminga's been so consistent, and then Middleton, the minutes restriction, whatever is gone. He looks awesome. Dame's looking bad, and at 13%, I think it's too low. And so I'm going to get to a ton of Middleton and Kuminga. Mix in Wembanyama, mix in LeBron and AD if he plays. Try and mix in some Giannis, but I kind of get why he's only 7% owned on DraftKings. Draymond Green, another guy who I was hoping was going to come in a little lower owned than this, but 18 and 23 isn't too bad at the 6,400 on DraftKings. The 7K on FanDuel seems great too. Just looking at this, like he's coming in for less ownership on DraftKings at a much cheaper price. And so pretty interested over on DraftKings. And then Dante DiVincenzo, like he's the mega chalk tonight, but he's not showing up too great in the model. We'll see if that adjusts if OG ends up ruled out, but still going to get to Dante. It's nice that he has that shooting guard eligibility, of course, too.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it is something to note though. Like, I think the model is accounting for Nobi playing, which I think
Yeah.
is why he's lower.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Nobi's out, like Dante becomes even better play.
And Lester played more yesterday because he played at the University of Memphis. I love little stuff like that. Like it's not never something we can predict before the game, right? But
Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun to talk about it after.
yeah, 100% agreed.
Have to remember it's going to be tougher for Werder and Monk to get there together. They're the chalkiest. Yeah, I agree. A lot of times it's one of them on the court. Like if Werder's playing bad, Monk will get a little more playing time, or maybe Monk's playing really well. It'll hurt Werder. But yesterday, let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure they both did close. And with it only being a 5-gamer, and it's like, I don't know, the not super value plays, but the 5K, the guys in the 5K range are pretty clear today, the best plays. And so I don't want to restrict myself and play only one of them. I'll scroll through and make sure I don't have both of them in a bunch of lineups together. But yeah, Malik Monk, 27 minutes, Kevin Werder, 30 minutes. They both closed. They finished the last 6 minutes of the game. And so I don't mind having them in the same lineup. Like if I'm hand building, it's probably awkward, probably not something I'm going to do if I'm, just making the lineup on my phone, whatever. But, with the lineup builder, if I get some with both of them, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And it's a good matchup. So, I mean, I could see why you get a little bit of both.
And yeah, Werder got there late. Yeah, he had like a sequence where he hit a 3, maybe got a rebound and an assist or something, and it really helped him. He was looking like he was going to fail, and Malik Monk was going to be the super pivot, but they both did enough, and Werder was owned enough where he still, he was fine. Curry or Brunson? Let's go back to guards, take a look. So Curry's been bad, right? Just hasn't been Steph. Projected for 7% ownership. Brunson projected for 12 and 16 at a little bit higher of a price tag. The model is saying Steph is a better ceiling play with the higher OF index at a cheaper price. And in terms of value, it's also saying Steph has quite a leg up on Brunson. So I would say, I don't know. It's kind of weird because small field, this applies too, but small field, Brunson does feel a little bit safer because we don't need that ceiling play for him to win a small field tournament. But in large field, model is saying it's Steph Curry.
Yeah, I think, Brunson probably the safer cash play with all these Knicks out and a pretty good matchup against LA. Steph, yeah, you mentioned him, just not been very consistent. Not the typical Steph we know and love. So I think Brunson for me.
And then what are the best value players if we choose to run Luka? So let me just make sure that we finished up. Were there any other forwards we want to talk about? Sort by value. I mean, Josh Hart, Josh Green are the kind of on the cheaper end, but I mean, Champagne's showing up at 3,200. The rest of these guys are kind of like mid-range or they're Giannis. And so, I don't know. I don't mind taking shots on Champagne. He's definitely not my favorite, though. But I really want to live in this mid-range today with Luka. If I'm mixing in one other stud, then it's going to be a little bit tougher. But there's a lot of mid-range plays today. Let me just see if there's anyone else popping up.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, what do you think about the value plays here with the Lakers with Torian Prince, Hachimura? I feel like one of these guys probably has to step in for Vanderbilt, even if they're off the bench.
So Taurean Prince is 21% ownership, 3,800. It's just so weird because he shouldn't have gotten the playing time that he got last game, but Vando got hurt, and Vando was on pace to smash. I think you in the Discord were talking about Vando over Rui, and it would have worked if if he didn't hurt his foot or whatever. But Taurean Prince is not going to play 38 minutes tonight. It took him 38 minutes to put up 28.5. Other than that, he's been pretty inconsistent. 21%. I'm not going to say not to play him, but where's the model on Torian? So 12.7 DK value. I mean, he's pretty far down here for as cheap as he is. So just something to keep in mind. The model is saying that we can try and find better plays, but then when we sort the slider to a max price of, say, 4,500, I mean, he's fifth. So it's tough.
Yeah, and then one more guy we'll know, Josh Green for Dallas.
Yeah.
I've always been typical Josh Green. I do like him as a player. Shooters in Milwaukee, kind of in that mid-range. We just saw Jamal Murray kind of go off against Milwaukee the other night. I think Josh Green, fine value play, not a must by any means, but I think he's solid at 4,500.
Yep, I agree. And Miles McBride is pulling in a little bit of ownership, 3,400. Trey Lyles, 3,200, 13%. Like these ownerships seem appropriate for these guys, and so I don't mind mixing them in if it helps you get to Luka. Yeah, it's like the super cheap value is tough today, and so something to keep in mind. Let me just sort through my ownerships and see who I was getting the most. Like, yeah, it looks like I'm really not getting that much. That's probably why I'm only getting 40% Luka, because I want to play a lot of Kuminga, DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Dosunmu, Werder, Draymond. Those are my highest owned guys now. Luka's mixed in there. Rashawn Holmes, 3,800. It's not bad for center spot. We don't mind giving up the center spot today. He is second on DK value overall for players under 4,500.
Agreed. He's kind of the easy lock and load at center at that price.
Not a fan of Holmes. It's tough. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Holmes last time either, but if he has a potential to play 30 plus minutes and with no Derek Lively against Milwaukee, he might have to. I mean, Brook Lopez is tall, man. I don't know if they can run Grant Williams at center and be comfortable with it. So it's unfortunate, but we have to be a little bit uncomfortable today, I think. I mean, 35 and 38%. The field is saying he's the best cheap play, and I think I'm just going to eat it.
Yeah, I agree, right? And just monitor the starting lineup. He should start, but if he didn't start, I probably would want to get under on Holmes.
And Thuggin, Yahoo top value. Yeah, the other day at the end of stream, I was like, I'm forgetting to do something. I forgot to show this to you, so apologize for that. But you can just pause the video or whatever. And this is the top of Yahoo value day. Very clearly, Rashawn Holmes and Josh Green at the top. Torian Prince is showing up at $10. I'd probably rather get to other guys than Malik Beasley at 14, save the $4 for something else. But yeah, it's a lot of cheap guys down here. Where's like a Yahoo value? Yeah, it's not even showing anyone above like $20 here. Oh, because I have the DK salary set. Sorry. Okay, so pause it now, and this is like the best Yahoo values. If you build your lineup just from these guys, you're probably going to be all right.
Agreed.
What do you say? Not too good on the model. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is not showing up as he should for the ownership he's getting, but if OG's out, then I don't think it matters. We're just going to go right back to Dante, and I'm probably going to play a bunch of them regardless because, like I said, the 20 shots a game, 16 threes a game, it's hard to not want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Fade Sabonis and go Trey and Steph. I don't hate it. I mean, we haven't really talked about center yet. Let me see where Sabonis is coming in at 6 and 9%. I wouldn't really call it a fade since he's coming in sub 10% ownership anyway, and Trey and Steph are also coming in very low owned. It's just, I don't know. Are you playing Rashawn Holmes at center and then paying up at the other positions?
Yeah, probably most likely. You can definitely get to Sabonis, especially since we have Holmes as value. You mentioned that though, like forwards were kind of living in the mid tier, so it's probably going to be tougher to get up to guys like Wemby on his Sabonis.
Yeah, and once again, their low ownerships do make sense. Like I get it. And Monk closed because they benched Murray. Yeah, like I said, maybe I'd set a rule to play max 2 of those 3, but I don't think I would want to be so restrictive with any individual pairing with 2 guys.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Bulls value guards? How do we pick between Io and Caruso? Well, the model is telling us that Io is the better points per dollar play, and Caruso has a slight edge in OF index at a slightly higher price. With their ownerships the way that they are, I think they're pretty close. I am going to play more IO. I guess that $400 is kind of important today because I have them projected very similarly. I have IO slightly ahead of Caruso, but I think they're both fine plays. I am going to prefer Dosunmu, but Caruso at half the ownership is a pretty decent pivot if you're trying to get away from the chalk a little bit if you're playing the rest of the top chalk.
Yeah, and I will note if Kobe White's out, I think playing both of them together is perfectly fine. Because I think that would make Caruso even better. So,
Yeah, there's not any rules I'm setting today. Maybe that 2 out of the max 3 of those Kings guys. But other than that, I'm not really setting any rules. I don't want to be restrictive in the lineups that I'm getting today. It's a shallow slate, and any combination is viable. Could be viable. Torrey Craig. Yeah, I was looking at Torrey Craig earlier. 3,300 at 18% and 31%. Like the model doesn't love it for value, projected for 18 minutes, but I'm getting him a little bit in my exposures. I don't mind mixing him in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Craig. I don't really understand. I know Patrick Williams is out. I think he's fine as like a flyer. I'm probably not going to be too heavy on Craig.
It's like he hasn't played in over a month, but I mean, 14 minutes isn't going to be great. 23 minutes would be awesome for Torrey Craig tonight, 3,300, like 20 plus. So it's just a matter of what they do with him coming off injury. We do have him projected for 18. And so 18 minutes at 3,300 for 18% ownership on DraftKings. It's probably appropriate.
Yeah, right there with you.
What's the key to reading the model to see if they're good or not? So it's like, it's not an absolute number like, oh, 15 off index is good, or 14 value is good. It's just play with the salary sliders for what salary you need, sort it by DK value, and just see if these guys are showing up. Like Rashawn Holmes is good value, 3,800, and so it's a little bit different to read. But Josh Hart and Middleton showing up at the top of value, Josh Green showing up at the top of value at kind of a lesser ownership. I wouldn't say just pivot off of Dosunmu and Werder for Josh Green, but just keep in mind that he's coming in for lower ownership at a lower price, and the model is saying that he's a better points for dollar value. And then like sorting by OF index, I mean, I would kind of just compare it to the other players around him. Like Luka and Giannis, they're obviously in a tier of their own, but like Trae Young is ahead of all these guys. AD, Donovan Mitchell, Demantis, he's cheaper, and the model is saying that he has a better ceiling tonight. Like Damian Lillard is standing out. He's cheaper than Steph and LeBron. The model saying he has a better ceiling. Same with Wemby. Just see like who sticks out for their salary around these guys, and then sorting by ownership. For example, like the model is saying Dante DiVincenzo is not good chalk, but OG Anunoby is currently in, and so maybe that changes. Maybe it doesn't matter because the sample size of Dante DiVincenzo taking 15 threes a game is super small, and the model needs a larger sample to really crunch those numbers, I guess. But yeah, just play with the sliders, sort by stuff, and just see what stands out as good or bad.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Always check the model, especially like I bump this like once we get like later news, like always be checking the model because it's always refreshing with news. So.
Yeah, that's why you should sign up for OccupyFantasy.com. $7 a week gets you access to the model, the plugs, and I mean it's $1 a day. I think it's absolutely worth it to see the updates after we get off stream. Late swap is still the biggest edge in the NBA, and so if you can take advantage of late swap stuff that the model sees that maybe other projection sites don't, you're gonna probably do pretty well. And we did get news. Kobe White is in. Torrey Craig is in. Dalen Terry is ruled out. Not sure Dalen Terry affects too much.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, but you said Dalen Terry's out. Probably Torrey Craig, maybe safer minutes.
I would say normally coming off the injury, we don't know what they're going to do. I usually say if they're good to go, they're good to go. But when guys are out for a month, it does take a little bit to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then I think I don't like Caruso as much now with Kobe White. And you mentioned AO. I think I just prefer AO if I'm picking between the two.
And then Holmes much safer if Derrick Jones Jr. is out. Could see him trying to run Kleber, Derrick Jones, Grant. It's just, I don't know. None of these guys are particularly good on defense, and none of them are going to be able to slow down Giannis anyway. But like Rashawn Holmes is the tallest player on the team. That just have a player in the paint to just put your hands up and, I don't know, try and stop Giannis. It's just, that's a tough trio to run in my mind with maybe say like Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr. or something on the guard spots. And so I think Holmes is safe either way. Like we're not expecting necessarily the minutes he played last game, but we don't need it for him to pay off at his price tag.
3.8K, we need like 20 fantasy points. So yeah, I'm totally fine with him.
Holmes or Achua if OG plays on Yahoo. If OG plays, I'm pretty sure that's going to hurt Achua pretty hard in terms of minutes because those minutes are probably going to come from mostly Precious, unless he's really playing awesome. Then Josh Hart might lose a couple minutes. Maybe Dante finally has a bad game. He loses minutes, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Holmes.
Yeah, I assume Holmes for me as well.
Hart and Dante and Brunson or Werder, Draymond, Wembanyama on Yahoo, which is better. Sounds like the second one has a higher ceiling. And so without looking at anything else, I would say probably that second trio. Yeah, Wembanyama has the highest ceiling out of all these guys. I know Brunson is there. I don't know. It's flip a coin. It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I don't love Wemby tonight in the matchup, but I guess Allen's questionable. So if he would be out, or is he questionable? I thought he was questionable. If he's out, I would say Wemby probably I'd prefer that side.
And then Reeves tonight. Yeah, we talked about Reeves versus D'Lo. It's tough because their prices both came up. Reeves at 69 and 73. If LeBron and AD are in, at 1%, I don't mind taking some shots. If they're out, his ownership will come up, but I don't think that he should be a chalk play at all tonight, just given the other options we have. Like Reeves at 6,900, I'd rather just get to Middleton or Kuminga at those price tags.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And sorry to cut you off, but we did just get, speaking of centers against Holmes, Brook Lopez ruled out.
Oh, sick. All
So
right,
that's
well,
something.
okay. I guess we'll see what the model says in a couple of minutes, but that might hurt Holmes because now the Bucks can go kind of small.
Yeah.
Man, let me see if I can pull up data for last time Brook Lopez was out, but let's get to these last couple of questions. Is Miles McBride viable? Yeah, I think he's fine at his ownership.
Yeah, he's fine as like a punt.
Y'all got any chalk over under on pick 6? Maybe. Let's dive into center real quick though, since we didn't really touch on it. So Rashawn Holmes, I'm not really going to adjust him. Like maybe he has potential to lose a couple minutes because Brook Lopez isn't playing anymore, but we still only had him projected for 22, so I'm not going to like change that to 19 or anything like that. Model's not going to be updated for Brook Lopez being out yet, but I mean, it's really good for Giannis and Bobby Portis.
Yeah, I think Portis in particular, 5,800. You know, Dallas is already down their starting center with Lively, so yeah, it looks like a really good spot for both those guys.
And then, I'm going to see if I can pull up when Brook Lopez missed. So Brook Lopez actually has not missed a game yet this season. So it's kind of tough to predict what this rotation is going to look like or what the starters are going to look like, I guess. Let me see if I can pull up last year. Brook Lopez missed 2 games last year before he said, well, I guess he missed 4, but the last 2 were like right before the playoffs. And so the other one that he missed, they went with Yeah, they did go with Bobby Portis.
Did they go Bobby? Did they throw him up to 5, or where did they put Giannis at the 5?
I don't know. Either way, yeah, Giannis and Bobby Portis were the 4 and 5, and then that's when they had Drew Holiday still starting next to Chris Middleton and Pat Connaughton. In that game, Portis played 33 minutes against the Pacers. Bucks got blown out, so Giannis probably lost that last rotation. This is a tough one because Brook Lopez doesn't take up too much usage anyway, and my court IQ won't load, so I can't pull up exactly who this benefits, but it's got to be Bobby Portis, right?
Yeah, Bobby Portis, and then we already liked Middleton in the mid-tier. It's just another body off the court for Milwaukee, so I think Middleton looks even better now at 67. Yeah. Slightly better.
Yeah, it's got to be Portis. So I don't know if he's a lock. He's probably going to come in at like 50% owned, though, assuming that he starts. Yeah. I think it does make Giannis look a little bit better. Brook Lopez isn't exactly a great rebounder, but it should help Giannis. And Brook Lopez doesn't clog up the lane either, so it's a slight benefit to Giannis, huge benefit to Bobby Portis. Still love Chris Middleton. Going to get to a bunch of him, so
yes. We'll see there. Do we think there's any other possible scenario in Milwaukee if they don't start Portis? Could they maybe start Crowder, go small, Giannis at the 5? I don't know.
I don't know if they want to run. I mean, it's weird because Dallas is going to probably run out Rashawn Holmes, so it's not like they need a big man to guard Rashawn Holmes, but I imagine they're still going to want to play Portis at center. The awkward thing is who's the backup big man, because Jay Crowder is probably the tallest guy on the bench today.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. Definitely keep an eye out for that starting lineup. We're not going to get it before the end of stream. Maybe we get it before the end of the Discord Q&A. I'm going to start that in about 25 minutes. And then pick 6 chalk. Julian Champagnie under 3.5 rebounds. Harrison Barnes under 4.5 rebounds. Keegan Murray under 2.5 threes. And DeMar DeRozan under 6.5 assists. You're welcome. Levert 5,800 on FanDuel. To me, we just have too much other good stuff going on that Levert is so we have enough other low on plays that Levert wasn't really on my mind today. I mean, 8%, 22%, he's 5,500. If you get there, I think it's fine. But not a guy that I'm personally targeting. I'd rather pay a little bit more and get to some of these other guys, but it is a really good game environment for Cleveland players today.
Yeah, Levert just I probably won't get to him tonight. We have so many other good mid-tier plays that we mentioned. So
T Ed's in chat giving us a helping hand here. Jay Crowder actually gets the biggest bump, but Portis is still him. I'd be interested to see what that sample size is because Jay Crowder has only played a few games this year, and if it's dating back to last year, it just Damian Lillard wasn't there, and it doesn't really affect the big men too much, but it's still going to skew the data slightly. But yeah, like I said, like Jay Crowder is the tallest guy on the bench, so he probably has to play, and he's still super cheap. So, and then Middleton 2.5% usage bump. So yeah, we already like Middleton. We're going to be in on him more. Yeah, the sample size is tiny, but I mean, just intuitively, Jay Crowder probably has to play more minutes. Let's run through centers real quick and build a dummy and get out of here in about 4 minutes. Anyone else besides the guys that we've mentioned already?
in terms of you mean center, right?
Yeah, center at center.
Okay. Yeah, we mentioned Hardenstein earlier. I think he's solid. Draymond we mentioned. I'll mention Nikola Vucevic, predicting for 20%. Kind of a good matchup against Sacramento here, up tempo spot. So don't hate Vooch in the mid tier. Yeah, it's probably gonna be it for me. Obviously, Portis if he sucks.
Yeah, I was interested in Vooch too. Makes sense that he's pulling some ownership. Jared Allen. I'll just give a shout out to Jared Allen. They're playing San Antonio. It's only a 9.5 point spread, so we're not predicting a blowout quite yet. 11% ownership on DraftKings at 8,100 sounds pretty good. He does have power forward eligibility on FanDuel. I get why he's a little bit higher owned there. And then just recap some of the other centers that we both like. Interested in Giannis, like Wemby. We mentioned Isaiah Hartenstein. Looks pretty good. Draymond Green looks pretty good. I mean, Clint Capella, GPP play. Maybe they go small since they're playing Golden State. That's the biggest fear with centers against Golden State. And then Bobby Portis is probably going to be the top of the model after it updates.
Yeah, I gotta imagine Bobby should be. I mean, he should be super chalk tonight assuming he starts.
And so, first update of the model now. When you refresh right after news, the minutes are usually not going to be correct. Like we have Giannis projected for 42. We're never going to project Giannis for 42 minutes. So wait a few more minutes, refresh again, and let the data update. I mean, it still only has Bobby Portis for 27 minutes. It's pretty low. Ownership hasn't updated yet, but the DK value looks pretty good. And so we are going to be pretty interested in Bobby Portis tonight.
Yeah, Chris Middleton, the top DK value now. So I think Chris is going to be our 2-for-2 play at the end of the stream. It was D'Lo the other night or a couple nights ago, and I think it's got to be Middleton tonight, right?
Let's go ahead and build that dummy. I think should we just throw in Bobby Portis at center? Make it easy. Yeah. How is this sorted by? All right, Bobby Portis at center. I guess we're going to put in Luka.
Yeah.
See how we can build this lineup around Luka. And then just sorting by DK value. I mean, it sounds like we both can we fit in Middleton and Kuminga? Is that cool?
I think we can, yeah.
All right, Middleton, Kuminga. And keep in mind, so of these three guys, DiVincenzo to me would be the third good mid-range guy. And so you can swap him out for one of these two, or I don't really think we can fit all three together unless we go super deep. But do we want to play Rashawn Holmes?
Yeah, we maybe throw Bobby in the util, or he's forward eligible, right, Bobby?
Yeah, let's put Bobby at power forward. Let's get Rashawn Holmes at center. Leaves us 5,100 for the other spots. It's pretty comfortable. I mean, Io Dosunmu 5,200 seems like a pretty easy click.
Yep, agreed.
We can put in. I mean, we could put Werder in the util, and then
I like her.
It's a pretty comfortable lineup. Yeah,
I like that a lot.
I mean, this is a pretty chalky lineup. I imagine, Middleton will be lowish owned. Pretty sure the rest of these guys are going to be over 20%. So it's not. This is not a large field lineup, but just to give you guys an idea of the core pieces to mix guys up around. Don't love Barnes or Kongwu in the forward spot for the last one. What is Io's eligibility? Middleton has forward eligibility, so let's throw Middleton in forward. Let's throw Werder in the shooting guard and see if there's a utility spot for 5K we prefer, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yep.
I mean, we can play Malik Monk, 4,900. I don't mind playing him alongside Werder or swap one of them out, get somebody else.
I like that.
Yeah, Josh Green, 4,500. Maybe that you can use that 500 extra to upgrade someone else.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty solid build. Obviously, Portis will just monitor that.
Yeah, and once again, keep in mind, this build is chalk. This is not going to win a large field lineup tonight, or a large field tournament tonight. Might do well in small field, though, like satellite type stuff. So probably don't play this exact line, but this is pretty sure this is our favorite plays today.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And let's see if we have a couple of last second questions. Let me just sort the model by FanDuel value since we've been talking about DraftKings the whole day. And so, yep, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Dame, Portis, Malik Beasley. Once again, the model is probably still crunching. It still has Giannis and Dame for 42 minutes. We're never projecting them for 42 minutes, so take a little bit away, but they are going to end up being good plays when it settles down.
Yeah, I feel like that game now, Dallas and Milwaukee, is just going to be pretty owned with all these guys out. So.
And then just real quick, I know we're going over today. Sorry, Jayhawk.
Oh, no, you're good.
I want to see, like, who's the model's favorite low-owned guys to mix in with the chalk? I mean, Middleton is probably still going to be under 20%. Malik Beasley, super low-owned. It's a pretty kind of a sneaky play since everyone's probably going to go to the other spots. Josh Hart's a little under-owned. Damian Lillard's probably under-owned. Isaiah Hartenstein's pretty good. Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Shante, AD, Steph. I mean, there's enough low-owned guys. If you mix in one or two of them, I mean, Andrew Wiggins, once again, decent pivot off Kuminga, but I still don't really want to fade Kuminga. Maybe just play them alongside of each other.
Yeah.
Jeremy Sochan, 5,700 at 4%. Max Strus at 3%. I mean, there's enough low-owned guys we can fit in. D'Angelo at 1%, although it's really hard to get to him today. So, mix up that chalk that we like and get a couple of these low-owned guys. I'll be in Discord in 20 minutes. We should have some more information from the model updating. So catch us in there. Instructions in the description below. Any final words, Jayhawk?
Nope. Just monitor starting lineups and go check out Chuck in Discord. He does a great job on there. So go check out Discord.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.